everyone. I'm Caroline Tricky, a dietitian and eating psychology coach, and this is my podcast, The Art of Eating, where we're rediscovering the joy of food and saying goodbye to diets and rules that just don't work anyway. And today I want to talk all about intermittent fasting. And this topic is one I get asked about nearly every day. This question comes up not only with my clients, but also with friends, family, and even fellow dog walkers who know I'm a dietitian. And since it's such a popular trend, I thought it was high time to talk about it here on the podcast. So fans of intermittent fasting are incredibly enthusiastic about its benefits, claiming it can provide weight loss, prevent disease, and even help you live longer. Pretty bold claims, hey? And it has gained quite a following. But is intermittent fasting really as beneficial as it sounds, especially when it comes to women, which I am keen to discuss with you today? So I'm going to look beyond the hype and explore what the science says about intermittent fasting and the potential pros and cons, and importantly, how it could impact your relationship with food. So let's find out if intermittent fasting is something that could support your health goals or if it's just another trend that's best left by the wayside. So let's start off with breaking down exactly what intermittent fasting is. So at its core, intermittent fasting isn't about what you eat, it's about when you eat. It's a pattern of eating that involves cycling between periods of eating and periods of fasting. There are a few popular approaches like the 16-8 method, where you fast for 16 hours and eat within an 8-hour window. And then there's the 5-2 method, which involves eating normally 5 days a week and then reducing your calorie intake to around 500 calories a day on 2 non-consecutive days of the week. Now, there's a lot of other ways of fasting, but these are the 2 most common approaches. So now let's take a look at why so many people are drawn to intermittent fasting. So for starters, it promises benefits that sound pretty enticing. Many people try intermittent fasting hoping to lose weight, boost their energy, improve focus, or even promote longevity. This idea of hacking our biology by simply controlling the timing of meals can seem like an easy shortcut to better health. And let's face it, who doesn't want better health? And beyond weight loss, some claim that fasting can reduce inflammation, improve heart health, and even support better blood sugar control. There's a lot of talk about how fasting can encourage something called autophagy, a process where our body cleans out damaged cells and regenerates newer, healthier ones. And there's some emerging evidence that it's beneficial for our gut bacteria as well. So it's all of these claims that gives people hope for a health reset without drastic lifestyle changes that come along with going on a particular type of diet. But of course, with any trend, it's important to ask, what does the science actually say? Well, some studies suggest that there may be benefits to intermittent fasting, though the results are not quite as clear-cut as some might hope. So research shows that intermittent fasting can be helpful for some people when it comes to weight management and could potentially improve insulin sensitivity. However, these benefits are often similar to what you'd see with any other calorie-restricted approach, meaning you could just achieve similar results by eating smaller portions throughout the day rather than focusing on a fasting window. Another thing to remember about weight loss is that it's complex. We're all so unique and our bodies are all so very, very different. And the research on intermittent fasting and weight loss is mixed. What I can tell you from my clinical experience is that I've had many clients come to me wanting to lose around 20 to 30 kilos, and they'll often share with me in the first consult the different methods they've tried, which includes fasting. When I ask how it went for them, most report losing a few kilos, somewhere around 3 to 5 kilos initially. However, after that initial loss, they don't notice any further weight loss, even if they keep fasting. So most of my clients are peri or postmenopausal women, and many have only seen modest weight loss. This leaves them with 2 main concerns. First, they're afraid to stop fasting because they worry about regaining the weight they've lost. And second, they've still got about 15 to 25 kilos they want to shed, which is why they've come to see me for help. So that brings up the question of who intermittent fasting actually benefits. Many of the studies are done on men or animals. And when I'm talking animals, I mean mostly mice who have a very different digestive and metabolic system to humans, neither of which translate well to the unique needs of women, particularly women in midlife or beyond. Extended fasting periods might have a different effect on us than men. I've even seen this with some clients who've tried intermittent fasting hoping to reverse their insulin resistance, but it's actually made it worse. Another downside to intermittent fasting is that it can increase stress hormones like cortisol, especially in women. So there was a study in the Obesity Society journal that found fasting for a long time can actually raise cortisol levels, and cortisol is a stress hormone. When we don't eat for a long time, our bodies feel stressed. Higher cortisol levels can make it harder to sleep, make us crave processed and fast foods, and because it interferes with insulin, it can also encourage weight gain around our bellies. This can make it harder to get the health benefits we're wanting from fasting. Another review in Nutrients showed that fasting can amplify the stress response in women, especially those with a history of disordered eating or high-stress lifestyles. And I don't know about you, but I don't know too many women that don't have a fast-paced, chock-a-block, stressful life. This happens because the body sees fasting as a kind of stress. When this occurs, it can confuse our hunger and fullness signals and raise cortisol levels. So intermittent fasting may not be the magic bullet its fans make it out to be. And while some people seem to benefit from it, it's definitely not for everybody. Which brings us to some of the potential pitfalls. Here's the kind of conversation I'll have with clients when they ask me, should I try intermittent fasting? So the first thing I do say is, well, you do you. No matter what I say here, you need to find what feels right for you. If you've listened to my other episodes, you know I'm all about discovering what truly feels good in your body. We're all so different, and the amazing thing is our bodies are constantly giving us feedback. When we pay attention, they'll tell us what feels good, and what feels good is often what's best for us. So with that in mind, here are my concerns when it comes to intermittent fasting. So my first concern is that it disconnects you from your hunger and fullness signals. So you'll know I'm all about helping people reconnect to these signals. It's one of the biggest challenges I see. Many of us eat because it's time for a meal or just because food is in front of us instead of eating because we're genuinely hungry. Normally when we're hungry, our brain sends messages that helps us recognize when we're full. But if we're not hungry when we start eating, there's no fullness signal to come. So we won't know when we've had enough either, which can lead to overeating. Intermittent fasting only makes this worse. It encourages you to ignore your body's natural hunger signals and eat only in your allowed window. The human body has brilliant systems in place, like hunger hormones, to tell us when we're hungry, but overriding these cues because we're sticking to a scheduled eating window means we risk losing touch with what our bodies actually need. My second concern is what I call I can eat whatever I want mindset. I often hear people say they're drawn to intermittent fasting because it means that they can eat whatever they want and still lose weight. But when I talk about eating what you want in my Perfect Gauge program, I'm talking about learning to eat what your body truly wants, what makes it thrive and feel energized, which is very different from eating fast and processed foods just because you can. When people go into an eating window with a mindset of anything goes, it can mean lots of ultra-processed foods that the body rarely actually craves. And because you're not in tune with your true hunger, it's hard to tell the difference between cravings driven by genuine needs and those driven by habit or emotion. And this concern is closely related to my third issue. So binge eating and compensatory eating is often seen in people who are intermittent fasting. So one problem I notice with intermittent fasting is that it can lead to overeating, and there are two main reasons for this. First, when you're not tuned into your hunger signals, you might not recognize when you're full. As a result, you keep eating and eating, hoping to feel full eventually, but full never comes. And some clients have also reported feeling so ravenously hungry and needing to continue eating until they suddenly feel so full and bloated. And this often leaves them feeling guilty or ashamed, which can lead to unhealthy feelings about food and themselves. My fourth concern is the potential health risks and side effects. Intermittent fasting can have a range of side effects. Some people experience headaches, mood swings, fatigue, or even migraines. For others, it can mean mental fog, which makes it hard to focus, and low energy, which can affect workouts or other physical activities. And let's be real, early on, fasting can also lead to things like irritability, constipation, muscle tightness, and even skin issues. It's not uncommon to feel these side effects for up to 3 weeks. And that doesn't sound appealing at all to me. And then my fifth concern is around getting enough nutrition in, especially when it comes to protein. So for women, especially in those peri or post-menopause times, intermittent fasting can make it harder to get enough essential nutrients, especially protein, in a shorter eating window. Protein is really important to maintain muscle mass and bone health, but it's also very filling. And women's appetites post-menopause aren't that big, which means fitting in enough protein into a limited eating window can be really challenging. So those are my 5 main concerns with intermittent fasting. And just to recap, they are disconnecting from your body's natural hunger signals, the fact that it doesn't necessarily mean you'll be eating well, that it can lead to binge eating and overcompensatory eating, its potential health risks and side effects, and the fact that it can make it harder for postmenopausal women to eat enough protein and other nutrients. So those are my main concerns. Now I get it, intermittent fasting sounds appealing, especially when you hear all the success stories. So if you're still curious about intermittent fasting and want to give it a go, just stay mindful of these points and be gentle with yourself. But what I'm always looking for is a longer sustainable approach, one that you can stick with long term that works with your body and lifestyle. And the best one I know is getting back in touch with and relearning how to listen to your body, to honor your body's hunger signals and eat when your body is truly hungry. So that's not when your mind tells you to eat, but when your body is actually truly hungry. And to eat what your body wants, to eat what makes you feel alive, energized, truly satisfied, and just really, really good. And then to stop eating when your body has had enough. That's the basis of the perfect gauge process I teach my clients, which really just means listening to your unique body because it knows what it needs. Only your body knows when and how much to eat, and that really is all any of us need, is to be tuning into and listening to this amazing guide. So when you start following your body's cues, you'll notice those times when you want to eat when you aren't actually hungry, like late at night. It's a chance to pause and figure out what's really going on beneath that craving, which is a huge step towards breaking free from emotional eating. And here's the thing, by eating this way, by listening to your body and eating when it's hungry and stopping when you've had enough, it's likely you'll naturally end up with a 12-hour fasting window overnight, which is actually ideal for allowing autophagy to do its thing and for your gut microbes to rest and recharge, and for those who act as the cleaning crew, cleaning up your gut, to get a chance to work their magic too. And all that takes is finishing your dinner about 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed, which is a sensible approach anyway because it improves your sleep. And with a good night's sleep of at least 8 hours, that naturally leads to a 12-hour fast without needing strict schedules or rules. And I'm just going to add in there that my perfect gauge process is not about rules. It's something that you do most of the time. It's really just about tuning into your body and finding what feels best for you. And when you do this, in a way, eating according to your perfect gauge can give you the benefits of intermittent fasting, but also in a way that honors your body's natural cues. So that's what I have for you this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or want more support, please reach out. And as always, you can find out more at carolinetricky.com. That's tricky with an EY. And if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Thank you so much for listening today. And remember, food is meant to be enjoyed, not feared. See you next time on The Art of Eating.